guys, I'm Layla. Welcome to Raid Lore Stories. Today's lore story that we're going to be reading live is Supreme Kael, as voted by Twitch chat, so I hope you enjoy his story. Scarred by the War of the Elves and their banishment to Durham Forest, the Dark Elves have built their culture around isolationism, violence, and survival of the fittest. Backstabbing and betrayal are the norm, and rampant murder is kept in check only by the knowledge that, if an individual gains too much power, they are making themselves a target. Because of this, a hero to the Dark Elves is an elf who displays above all cunning, ruthlessness, and awareness of the machinations of those both above and below them in their fraught social hierarchy. And yet, there is one figure in the mythology of the Dark Elves who rises above the wicked reputation of his kind. He assumes the mantle of one destined not only to survive, but to thrive, heal, and ultimately reunite. That figure is often known as the champion, the scholar, or the mage. His origins vary depending on who is telling the story. To the nobles of Durham, the mage is one of their own, a learned academic, often a pupil of a great dark elf sorcerer. Among the downtrodden common folk of Durham, he is a humble mushroom farmer or bitter fruit picker who stumbles across an arcane text and is taken under the wing of a mage who sees his potential. Regardless of where he comes from, the mage is inevitably betrayed by his master, but survives the attempted assassination. In all other Dark Elf stories, this would be where he takes his revenge. Not so with the mage. With his treacherous master at his mercy, he chooses the unheard of path, that of forgiveness, perhaps seeking to break the cycle of mistrust and betrayal that so infects Dark Elf society. He allows his former master to live, demanding only their sorcerer's staff, the Black Rod, and so secures his reputation as being unlike any other in Dark Elf society. So begins the long road to redemption, not for the mage, but for all Dark Elves. His studies and his experiences further increase his belief that the nature of Dark Elf culture is inherently twisted, an understanding that seems driven in part by the knowledge and foresight of a higher power. His attempts at reform win him precious few allies and many enemies. He must constantly defend himself from assassins and the manipulation of his peers, who view his ever-growing magical abilities as a tool for their own supremacy. The Black Rod especially is a double-edged weapon, for while it grants the mage great power, its whispers are also corrupting, ever seeking to twist his nobility to something more base and self-serving. Tales abound of the mage's exploits, from banishing the dreaded Shadowblade's Sprite Monastery that haunts Durham's canopy to striking down the murderous three-eyed assassins of the Razorleaf Sisterhood. Ultimately, though, his goal is not just to bring together the many squabbling nobles of Durham Forest, or to lead the downtrodden serfs to freedom. Instead, he wishes to end the rift between High and Dark Elves, and finally bring about unity and peace between them. In his vision, the Dark Elves can leave the shadowed bows and toxic fauna of the deep, dark Durham Forest behind, and step once more into the light. The Elves of Anhelt can rebuild their society. There will be no more murdering or power struggles, no more serfdom or destitution. Nourishing food, clean water, sunlight, and plentiful land will be the rights of all. In this quest, the mage is said to be one of 4 beings fated to save not only their own people, but all of Teleria. In particular, he builds a close bond with one, a high elf of Aravia. Similarly selfless and wise, the two become allies in the struggle to end ancient enmities and, ultimately, unite the elves before a final cataclysmic battle between the forces of darkness and light, one that will decide the fate of all Teleria. Many Dark Elves scoff at this fanciful story. In times of quiet contemplation, however, when they are alone with their thoughts, it is a bitter Dark Elf indeed who does not privately, silently hope that that tale one day does come to pass. Many want to end their exile, escape the vicious cycle in Durham, and cease the bloodshed, though they fear to appear weak by voicing such desires aloud. Despite this, some are claiming that there is one particular Dark Elf who fits the description associated with the mage, a scholar named Kael. If he is indeed the one prophesied to come, the stories of the mage will surely redouble, lingering deep in hearts that have not quite grown too cold to feel. Wow, that was definitely one of the longer lore stories that we have read. Drop me some comments down below at what you think of the lore story for Supreme Kael, and thanks so much for watching.